Hello, and welcome back to Evolve by Erica, the podcast. I am your host, Erica Polsinelli, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for tuning in to hear about all things spirituality, all things 5D, really diving in deep to live your most evolved and embodied life. Come on in and join me. Welcome to the newest episode. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so excited to have this outlet now more than ever. And I wanted to share a little update of what I've been going through and what's guided this conversation about surrendering and just flowing with the universe. So I went through a little stage the last couple of weeks where I felt very stagnant and uninspired on social media. So I really was feeling so resistant to sharing on Instagram. I felt like there was so much being said, so much being shared, and why do I need to contribute? And obviously that is a very poor perspective to have because, there are so many light workers, but everyone has a specific message and a way to connect to some other people that other light workers may not connect to. But I just felt so overwhelmed, and I took a moment and I recognized that this is definitely a symptom and a side effect of the age of information, which is the time that we're living through, the Aquarian age. It's an overload of information. And I just took a moment and said, okay, so I have two choices. My old self would start to freak out and think, oh my gosh, you have nothing to share. And that's not a good thing because this is how you connect your community. What are you going to do? You need to share every day. That's what people say. You need to put something out every day. And that is not what I did because I know better than that for my morning practice. So I took a moment to just lean into this and I acknowledged how I was feeling. Okay, Erica, you feel uninspired. And this is a wave. This is a period of time and this will pass. And just take the time that you need, take the pressure off and let it flow. So that's exactly what I did. And you may or you may not be surprised to know what happened after that. So after that, I actually felt super inspired and I started posting sometimes twice a day, feeling like I all of a sudden had so much stuff to share. And it led me to transition in how I was sharing. Instead of feeling like I needed this masterpiece of a post or something really deep and soul touching, I just want to share things that spread positivity in any way, whether that means me dancing in my kitchen, which I posted this morning to my new favorite song, or me posting the dog who we're watching, our little Bam Bam, and I just chilling in Savasana. I just started to realize that I'm not going to think about things so much. I'm not going to stress, and I'm just going to let things flow. And it's amazing what that space brings. So I'm telling you this because this applies not only to social media, not only to growing a business, but also in life. So we're going to talk about two different things here. We're going to talk a little bit about the law of least resistance, and we're also going to be talking about surrendering today. So the law of least resistance, we all know about the law of attraction by now. And as we continue to dive deeper into this spiritual journey and the other laws of the universe, there's another one that's called the law of least resistance. And we at times create a lot of resistance in our own lives. We almost create a lot of our own problems. And you might be triggered by that statement. And if you were just triggered by me saying that, anytime we're triggered, that means we need to look within and be like, okay, tell me more. And how can I change this? So what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. So from the example I just gave you, I could have created more resistance in my life. And I'll be honest, my old self would have done that. A few months ago, I may have done that. I may have freaked out. I may have spent endless time scrolling through Instagram looking for trends, or maybe TikTok, or like seeking and trying to find ways to get inspired, or thinking I needed to go somewhere to get like fresh new content to share. And that's just simply not the case. That would have created a lot more resistance because I would be trying too hard. And there's such thing as trying too hard or working too hard, especially when you are spiritually aligned and aligned with your higher self. So, and I just want to share a little bit more about that. I sometimes find it interesting to hear, information or suggestions that people put out on Instagram or that business coaches may say. And what I've come to learn is like, when you're working with energy, you don't need a business coach. If you are being consistent every day with your morning Kundalini practice, you are your own PR firm. You are your own business coach. You get all the guidance you need because the universe is your PR person. The universe is your creative manager, creative director. It all flows through. So when we're able to connect to this place of least resistance, we're allowed to stop creating resistance in our life. That's when creativity flows. When we have doubts, when we feel like we need to push and we need to push, we are blocking ourselves from our highest self. And that's not when we do our best work. We could check off what other people would suggest to us that might be really good, either personal habits or business tactics or whatever it may be that we're trying to overcome. But when we're aligned and we know who our higher self is and what feels like truth to us, that is the best thing we can do. Take the pressure off ourselves, lean into that space, observe how we're feeling, be okay with how you're feeling, and move on from there. So I want to give another example because this happens often, whether it's in the line of work, whether it's in your relationships, your family relationships, your relationships with your significant other or spouse. So many of the times, as I said before, we can create resistance in our own lives. So what I mean by that is, a lot of the times we have all of these past experiences. Some of them are experiences that, or judgments other people might have about the experiences we've had. That's a whole other story. But for the most part, let's keep it simple. We have past experiences. Some are positive, some are negative. And when we take those past experiences and the emotions that come with them into the present, we are projecting into the future. So for example, if I have a pleasant experience every time I go to this one coffee shop or whatever restaurant, I'm in this energy field of, oh my goodness, this place has such good energy. I'm going to go. I'm going to have a great time. And that's most likely what I'm going to experience there and attract, unless something wild and crazy happens. Okay. But if I had an experience that was negative, I'm going to hold that with me, hold it into the future and hold that into the present and project that into my future experience. So I might show up there expecting something to go wrong or just feeling the emotions of the past. So therefore my experience won't be as positive because I'm taking with me the emotions I had from the past and bringing it into the present, which then projects it and creates that out into our future. So we do this all the time. And that's why the Kundalini meditation for releasing emotions from the past is so powerful, because in order to create our future, we need to let go of those negative or heavy emotions from the past. And we need to come to this space of being present, generating this new frequency around whatever it is that we're anticipating or expecting, and then arriving at that space in the future with this new found positivity behind it. So this can be, and you may have experienced this with your own family members. If one family member triggers you or has a habit that really irks you, or might say things to you or have said things in the past to you that have really hurt you emotionally, there's a very big chance that you're bringing that with you into every experience with that person. So it's so important to be aware of this. And as you guys know, as I share all the time, Kundalini helps you to start being the observer of your life. You're able to observe your life and see what triggers you, why it triggers you, how you're acting, why you're acting that way, and then change it so that you could shift the outcome that's going to be your future outcome. Okay. So with the law of least resistance, we need to get out of our own way. We need to be able to clear that, flow with the universe, understands that we're co-creators, and be able to create this new future. So before we go any further into surrendering, I want to do two things. I want to get into a quick meditation to clear those emotions from the past. If you're walking, if you're running, if you're driving, whatever it is, you can do this where you are. So don't worry, you don't need to be sitting somewhere with your eyes closed. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Eaton Hemp, and I have the treats right here with me. So Eaton Hemp is a superfood brand. It's organic, USDA organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, packed with a bunch of nutrients, proteins, fibers, omegas, so many things that are so great to get in if you have a plant-based diet. And I don't know about you, but sometimes after lunch or after dinner, I love a little sweet treat. But if I have too much sugar, I'm just going to crave more sugar. These are that sweet treat that are so satisfying. And I could literally have sometimes only one or maybe two of these little bites, the superfood bites, and feel like I got that sweet in. And I just feel completely content, completely nourished. So Eaton Hemp is offering the listeners of this podcast 30% off their purchase. And I love having these bites in the car. I love bringing them with me anywhere. I hate getting hangry because then we just make bad decisions and we don't feel well after we just completely go crazy with a big meal. So these are great to keep in your bag, bring on the go with you. And Eaton Hemp is giving these listeners 30% off of their purchase. So you could go to eatonhemp.com. That's EATONHEMP.com and use the code ERIKA30, ERIKA 30 for 30% off of your purchase. Okay, so go and check them out. They are delicious and they're sustainable, seed to shelf, all the good things that we want to see in a brand these days. Okay, so I want to get into a quick meditation before we go into talking a bit about surrendering. So I just want you to close your eyes. No. Sorry, I fibbed. I told you wouldn't have to close your eyes. So wherever you are, I want you, if you'd like to close your eyes, if you're safe to do so, go ahead and do that. If you're keeping your eyes open and you're walking right now, that's fine too. But I want you to bring to your attention either a person, a place, an experience that you still hold a negative emotion towards. You have like that bad taste in your mouth, quote unquote, something that you're carrying with you. Something that you carry with you into every situation when you either see that person or go to that place. Okay. And I want you to take an inhale of 5 seconds, a 5-second inhale, a 5-second hold, and a 5-second exhale. As you just start to connect to that emotion that you have, that you're holding, inhaling for 5, holding it for 5, and exhale, releasing it for 5, letting it go. A few more rounds here. And as you do this, I want you to feel your breath starting to heal and clear those emotions that you're holding on to. Feel the breath start to just loosen up that energy, that resistance that you're still holding. The past is in the past, and we're going to leave it there right here today. That's what this meditation and this podcast is all about today. We're going to get out of our own way. We're going to clear and transmute any energy that's getting in our way from having our most healed, most evolved relationships with others and with ourselves. So just continue this breath as you breathe into that emotion. And I want you to tell yourself that you are ready to release that. You are ready to let go of that. You're ready to clear it and you're ready to heal it. And as you do that, I want you to visualize this stream of light from you to that other person, or from you to that place, or from you to that scenario or circumstance, whatever it may be. Just visualize nothing but love and light connecting the two of you at this point. You might even want to visualize cutting the negative cords that tie you together, or any of the emotions from the past, and just completely let that go. And take a long, deep inhale in, holding it in and up at the top. And exhaling it out, letting it all go. And once more, inhale, holding it in and up at the top. And exhale, releasing, letting that all go. And then slowly coming back to this now moment, grounding back here and now. And as I shared before, I wanted to talk a little bit about surrender today. Surrender is something we're probably always going to go back to on this podcast, because what I've experienced is that it's something I'm always learning on a deeper and deeper level. And sometimes you think like, oh, I've surrendered to the universe. And then you're like, ooh, I need to surrender some more. So surrender. You cannot surrender to the universe if you do not believe in yourself as a co-creator, and if you don't believe in a higher power like the universe. So, I mean, maybe you can, but it will make it very, very challenging, because like, what are you trusting in, you know? So to learn how to release control and all of this leading up to surrendering that we're going to talk about is what creates resistance in our life. And that's how it ties to the law of least resistance. But when we have that resistance in our life and we create that, we're not really surrendering to the divine plan. We're not able to just swipe everything clean and be able to surrender to the here and now. So in order to surrender, I think the first step is building your faith. So by having a daily practice of meditation every single day, every single morning, hopefully before sunrise if you can, you are building the relationship with yourself and the relationship you have with the universe. Okay. So by meeting yourself there, you're working through all that resistance you're holding on to. It could be from generations ago, it could be from this lifetime, but all of that resistance that you hold, you are able to process through your morning practice and through your breath work. So by meeting yourself there every day, you're actually also able to repattern the mind. So you don't think about things the same way that you used to. You don't think about them with as much resistance. You start to lean into this place of faith and of knowing. So the first step for surrendering is 100% absolutely starting your day with Kundalini. I'm sure you knew I would say that, but I truly, truly, truly mean it. It's done wonders, done wonders. I had zero faith before I started this practice. As I shared with you before, I did have a lot of religious education. I never connected to all of the teachings I was taught. I would take like some with me. I love learning about every religion because I feel like there's truth in every single one. And I lost pretty much all my faith, but right before I found this practice. And after finding it, by tuning into my daily practice, my meditation, the universe started to show me the work that I was doing. I could actually cry when I say this because the universe started to respond to me so freaking quickly. And that's because of a practice of gratitude, which I always incorporate into the Kundalini sessions that I teach and from practicing Kundalini. So as soon as I started practicing, I started to see signs from the universe, repeating numbers, symbols like butterflies. I would see names that were repeating, as I told you in past episodes. And that started to help me build my faith because I was like, okay, these things that I'm experiencing, there's no way it's a coincidence. I will literally think about someone now and they will text me, like, if not while I'm thinking about them, immediately after. And it happens more and more frequently, more and more quickly, and like this very strong telepathic connection. So I started to see that like these things that go on are not coincidences. And I started to learn that. So after developing a really deep morning practice with yourself of Kundalini, I then think that it's so important to ask the universe for signs so that you can build your faith. So asking the universe in the morning, right after you end your morning practice, universe, what signs can you bring to me today? What do you have to offer me today? How can you show me that I'm on the right path? And that's a really, really powerful practice to have. So as I shared with you, there were so many things that showed me I was on the right path. As I shared in the past, I'm kind of like a bug out. I don't really like doing, in the past I drank and I did like, some other stuff, nothing crazy. But as I grew older, I really didn't ever like to alter my state. I would get really nervous if I felt just different or altered. And when I first started practicing Kundalini, I really felt altered. And I felt like, whoa, this is like better than drinking. I'm buzzed right now. This is wild. But typically that would freak me out because I really like to be in control, but something kept screaming at me like, this, you need to stick with this. This is huge. This is really big. This is really powerful. So that was like my sign. It was really my intuition. That was my sign screaming along with the numbers. And then the people I would meet who would have these amazing stories of holistic healing and meditation and how just miracles really happen to them. So after building that practice with yourself, asking the universe for signs, asking the universe to show you and present itself to you in ways that only you would connect to, showing you that it's there. That will help to build your faith in order to surrender. And then actually practicing surrender. So this is where it gets challenging. And I'm going to tie this all together from the beginning of this the beginning of this podcast to the end, and how the law of least resistance really gets tied in with surrendering. But when maybe something bad happens in your life or something just seems to go wrong constantly, I want you to challenge yourself to stop right then and there, talk to the universe, and literally be like, universe, I see you. I see these unfortunate events that are happening, and I know there's a reason for them. I know this might be redirection. I know this might be protection. I know that this might be realigning me to my highest self. I know this might be teaching me something. I know that this might be bringing me to a more expansive place that I'm currently capable of. I know that you're stretching me. So help me to be open to that. Help me to see that. Help me to receive the messages you're trying to send me. Because as I said, nothing is a coincidence, and there's something to learn from every circumstance. So first, building your morning practice. Second, asking for signs. Third, telling the universe, I'm surrendering to you. Show me the way. And in the darkest of moments, in the hardest of times, lean into that space even more. So how this aligns with what we were talking about earlier is that if we don't surrender, we create resistance. So if we see things going wrong and nothing seems to work, and we continuously try to do it and try to do it and try to do it, and we're not getting anywhere, we're exerting so much of our divine energy on maybe something that's not aligned for us. So by taking a moment, allowing the universe to know that we see what's happening here and we're surrendering, we're allowing to just be taken along on this journey rather than controlling it and always being in the driver's seat, maybe sometimes going into the passenger seat and just allowing the universe to take you, that removes the resistance. And when that happens, so much beauty comes from it. Things get easier. Life should feel easy. Work should feel easy. Relationships should feel easy. And you have this divine connection that can help make it easy. You just need to follow those steps. So as I was saying before, I actually tried to record this podcast, but it's funny that I'm talking about this. And this is like the fourth or fifth time I'm trying to record this podcast. So hopefully like my phone doesn't start ringing again, or Vinny starts FaceTiming me, or the memory card becomes full, because that's all that happens to me right before this, which is very funny since it's what we're talking about. But I don't remember if I said this on this recording or another recording, but that was my point. But it's interesting now that I put that all together. The universe is always teaching us, and right back into alignment I come. So, as I was saying, I was feeling a lot of resistance with social media. I stopped pushing. I stopped feeling like I had to come up with these creative posts or a deep message. And I said, I'm just going to be me, and I'm going to show everybody who I am and what I do behind the scenes and share from that way. I'm going to make it so easy. Something I would typically do in my life, I'm just going to pop the phone on, pop Instagram on, record it and post it, and boom, and that's it. It doesn't have to take so much thought. It doesn't have to take so much work. And if you notice, today I actually posted, you're going to see this a few weeks later, but today I posted me just dancing in my kitchen, saying like after the probiotic and lemon water hits, and like making believe I was in a club with like those like fiery things that people hold, like I don't know what they're called. But I was just having so much fun by myself in my kitchen. And I was like, what a great message to spread this Monday morning, just turning my kitchen into a club before I start my day of podcasting. And it's actually 6 p.m. right now, and I just got to podcasting. So just going with the flow here. But I want to share from this place that feels good, that feels easy. I'm letting go of all the resistance in my life, and I'm just flowing with it. So another thing that I want to say about this is some other people might have rules. Like if I followed some business coaches might say you need to post every day, or if you don't post every day, you're going to lose your engagement in your community, or whatever those limiting beliefs may be. By not listening to the noise and by listening to myself, giving myself the time, being able to surrender and lean in, my engagement actually went up after that because I was able to realign to myself, do what felt good. When you're pushing and when you feel like it's hard work, people feel that. When you're just having fun and you're in this state of pure joy, people feel that too. So I know I keep bringing it back to like Instagram or business, but this relates to relationships. This relates to every area in your life. Find the joy, because when you're in a state of joy, you're literally dissolving the resistance in your life. And when we could release the resistance, we're able to surrender. And when we feel and have faith and feel like we can surrender because we trust in the universe, that dissolves all the resistance. So it's a really important skill. It's a really important lesson that we're going to continue to learn as humans on this planet, surrendering further and further and further. And this was just kind of like the peak of it and the tip of it. I feel like there's so much more to uncover here, but we can always revisit it. And the universe is your bestie. The universe is your PR. The universe is your business coach. The universe is the therapist of your relationships. You have all access to these answers and everything you need. And when you just take a moment to let the resistance go, to tune into yourself and to come into alignment, that's where it can all flow. So what I was going to say before is how I tried to record this episode like 5 times and I got frustrated. I actually have a video clip of Vinny FaceTiming me and I'm like, oh, yes. Like that's literally how I answered the phone. And he saw my headphones on, knew I was recording. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like in that moment, I was like, Erica, just let it go. He didn't know you were recording. You weren't meant to record that episode. You weren't meant to start off in the way that you are. You're going to start fresh. You're going to be in flow. And let me tell you, this is definitely the best recording so far. And I can see why I did that. So in the meantime, while I was feeling that resistance, I took a step aside. I went and did something else. I had to like clear the memory card because that was the next obstacle I faced, and literally create space for this podcast. And by doing that, I created space within myself to be this container of energy for all of the information I shared with you today to flow through me so that you can receive it in the best frequency. So I could have created resistance by getting frustrated, getting annoyed, and just said I'm done for the day and sat and scrolled. But instead I said, no, I had a goal to get at least one podcast recording in today. and I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it. So I'm glad that I received this lesson and experience literally during filming this. I hope that it brings you clarity. And I just truly want you to live in the most peaceful place that you possibly can. That's my mission, to help anyone and everyone who's willing to do that. And I hope that this brought you that today. So thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to check out Eaton Hemp. They're incredible. And I'm so grateful that they're a sponsor of this podcast. And that's just another piece of evidence how life can be easy and the right opportunities can just be attracted to you and support you on this divine journey. And I'm so grateful that they believed in me after hearing that I was launching this podcast. And I'm grateful for you guys showing up each week, listening, messaging me, sharing like your favorite parts and the little aha moments you have. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so freaking much. I love you. I love doing this. And I'm so grateful for you. I hope that you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for joining in Evolve by Erica, the podcast. And I hope to see you next week. May the long-time sun shine upon you. May all love surround you. And may the pure light within you guide your way on. Sat Nam.